Good evening, everyone. Welcome and welcome, welcome. Welcome, Eric. Eric, you're welcome. Okay, so we will be starting in 3 minutes. People opportunity to come on live. As you join the broadcast, you can tell us where you are joining from. Oh, Eric, you're joining from South Africa. Welcome. Thank you, DK Chidere, joining from Abuja, Nigeria. Architect Okamogu, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so we have 2 more minutes to kickstart. Raymond, thank you for joining from Cyprus. You're welcome. One more minute and we are right into it. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to this book launch. So I would say welcome to this very special event on a day that has a significance in the profession. So to all of us here present, happy World Architecture Day. It's an absolute pleasure to have you join me today on this official book launch of From Studio to Practice, how to make the best of your architecture profession from studentship to career. For those who may not know me, my name is rosechigozienjoku, and I'm the founder of Architects Corner, the platform we're using for this live broadcast. Architects Corner is an ecosystem dedicated to bridging the gap between architecture education and professional practice. And it is also a partnership with Iris Studio. And today, I'm proud to be unveiling a project that has been close to my heart for quite some time now. This book, I believe, will be valuable to everyone in architecture, whether you are a student, a graduate, an associate, a technologist, or even a seasoned professional. So, this is to say, welcome again to each and every one of us. So don't forget to tell us where you're joining from if you join us. And I wish to use this opportunity to welcome and recognize the presence of the president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Architect Mobolaji Adeni, FNIA, the president of the Female Architects of Nigeria, FAN, Architect Ene Audu, the president of Young Architects Forum, Architect Kelechi Onyike, and the president and executives of the National Association of Architecture Students, NAS. Also, join me to welcome to the high table. This is a high table now. The great architects that have contributed massively to the success of this book project. In no particular order, I would mention Architect Frank Ajero, FNIA, Architect Professor Ndidi Okolo, FNIA, Architect Dr. Sani Khalil, Architect Miriam Chupuma Uchebu, Architect TC Elendo, Architect Amugo Ugoji, Architect Moses Aja, Architect Oka Amogu. He's on the live stream now, so you're welcome specially. Architect Chioma Woku, Architect Lape Saleh, Architect Agatha Christie Irabo, and my mentors, Architect Professor Marcelinus Owadiego Kafo and Architect Titilayo Adele FNIA. I will not also fail to mention the architects who have graced Architects Corner, the platform we are using, with their inestimable presence, sharing from their wealth of knowledge and responding to all the questions we've asked. And these are Architect Lewis Ladipo, Architect Dr. Chinwe Sam Amobi, Architect Sean Adams from the UK, Architect Enyi Ben Ebo, PPNIA, and Architect Sir Oladipupo Gabriel Ajayi, our P. Akon, the president of the Architects Association Council of Nigeria. So I also wish to welcome to this broadcast Jacques Kulis, the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of the South African Institute of Architects, and in absentia, she had sent in her regards, Miss Penny Sib, the South African Institute of Architects Executive Marketing and Communication. So on this ground, I would say welcome to each and every one of us once again. You're welcome, Chijoke Osiji. Thank you, watching all the way from Port Harcourt. So let's get right into this. Why was From Studio to Practice written? Why the book From Studio to Practice? Okay, the idea of writing this book was birthed when I realized there was a knowledge gap between theory and practice in architectural profession and architectural education and practice. And each time I see young architects like myself relay their frustrations about the profession in all the groups I belong to, making them lose hope in the profession, the zeal to see that this book was completed even became stronger. So this was happening at a time when there were crises in the Nigerian architectural profession. So young architects like myself graduate from schools of architecture across the globe, often unsure of how to navigate the profession. I had thought of waiting till I become a professor or become older to author this book. But after listening to Edirin Edewo's lecture on authoring a book in 2020, which was hosted by John Obidi, I decided to begin this writing journey. I leveraged the experience of seasoned architects and professors who I've already mentioned, who believe in the profession. Through the interviews and interactive sessions I had with them, I gathered insights and shared their wealth of knowledge. So, this book reveals the secrets to successfully transitioning from one stage of the architecture profession to another. Also, this book is more about the technical knowledge, is more than just technical knowledge. It's about understanding the mindset, the tools, the strategies that will help young architects thrive in their professional journey. So, without wasting much of our time, I would love to mention how the book is structured. I would like to give a sneak peek into some of the key themes covered in the book. Firstly, the book is divided into three parts. It's into There is before architecture school, during architecture school, and after architecture school. So these three parts are now organized in chapters, from chapters 1 to 7. And then the interviews I had with architects is the last chapter of the book, that's which is titled Inference from Architects. So the chapter 1 talks about is the introduction. It's basically me introducing what architecture is to everyone that will be reading this book, especially if you're just coming out from secondary school and you're wondering if really this profession is for me. So, but after the first chapter, the second chapter talks about is now the 13 things I wished I had known before gaining admission into architecture school. Okay, judging from my journey, I had to uncover some essential truths that no one tells you before starting architecture school, which looking back I could tell, okay, these were some pitfalls and these are the ways to avoid them. So in the third chapter, I talked about generating ideas for your design, which is also classified under before architecture school and during architecture school. So during the course of writing this book, I published a Google form for different persons in the architecture profession, different cadres of persons, to fill in their frustrations, things they wish they had known, or things they wish someone told them. So most of the students had challenges generating ideas for their design, which was what bettered this chapter of the book, which is you will learn how to master the art of creativity with practical steps for generating winning design concepts. So the fourth chapter is basically on personal development in architecture. So you learn how to cultivate the personal and professional skills that will set you apart in a competitive industry. Because this also was leveraged from architects' insights, what they themselves, even as they are now, the challenges they had when they were at that stage, and at the various stages in the profession, and how they were able to become the great architect that we admire now. So you will learn in the chapter 5 the journey to becoming a registered architect in Nigeria. So I showed a step-by-step guide to navigating the process of architecture professional registration, as whether you studied in Nigeria or you studied abroad. Because most of the questions we got during the course of writing this book also highlighted on the fact that some people who studied abroad were skeptical, like, how do we get to practice in Nigeria even though we are citizens having studied abroad? So this was covered in the book. And also, I won't forget to mention that the submissions from architects on the HND dichotomy was also addressed. So that is more reason why you should get this book. So on the sixth chapter, it talks about making architecture a business. In architecture school, we were barely taught how to leverage or make money out of this thing we are doing. So, having interviewed architects who are now practicing, licensed, and they shared from their wealth of experience the things they wish they had even done while they were still young, even before they got to this stage. And those things were covered in this book. So you discover how to transform your passion into a thriving business with proven strategies for successful architects. So, and also in this chapter, architecture schools and regulatory bodies, the ACOR and NIA, and even SAIA and AIA, all of the professional bodies would discover areas of improvement in the architecture education system, which would which would not just graduate students who are oblivious of what is happening in the practice, but also graduate students that are more aware. So I would mention that architect Nimi Briggs would say that the architecture curriculum now is not preparing students for what is outside the profession. This is to paraphrase. So in this book, architecture schools will know how to restructure the curriculum so that it prepares students for the real life world. Then the seventh chapter is on opportunities in architecture for students, graduates, associates, technologists. Also, this is where each of these persons will discover how to position themselves for future opportunities and make the best of their architectural career journey. I won't forget to mention that the advice also structured in this book are real, because they are like it's just like the architects poured out their hearts into what into this book, and it was such a success, because you learn from their experiences and apply the strategies to your own career development. So without giving away too much, let me share powerful concepts that I think resonate with all young architects. So first of all is embracing the reality of practice. Architecture school is a world of imagination and creativity, but the real world requires balance. So you will need to manage clients' expectations, just like my boss would call it, collaborate with engineers, contractors, and work with budgets. So from studio to practice provided tips on how to bridge that gap without losing your creative spark. So another thing I want to mention is that we also it captured the fact that building your professional network. So success in architecture doesn't happen in isolation. It's about connecting with mentors, colleagues, and clients. I talk about the power of networking and relationship building in the book, which can also often be the key to landing your first job, winning projects, or advancing your career. In fact, the our guest speaker for this launch is the chairperson of the NIA Mentorship Committee. So I think she will do justice to this when she comes up. So then the third thing I want to mention is navigating challenges and staying resilient. The path of an architect can be very demanding. So tight schedules, unexpected projects, challenges, and long hours that are all part of the process. So this book covers practical advice on how to stay focused, to manage stress, and keep growing professionally through these challenges. So now, before I get into more details, I'm really excited to have a special guest with me today. Activity has been in the background. So she is someone whose work I and voice I admire so much in the architecture profession. So joining me today is architect Titilayo Adeleye, FNIA, a seasoned architect, a certified life and family coach, and an ordained minister of the Redeemed Christian Church of God Mission. She holds a Bachelor of Science (BSc) and a Master's of Science (MSc) degree in architecture from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria, and she is currently the CEO of Eden Group, a consortium of companies specializing in architecture, property development, project management, and interior design. Architect Titi Adele is a fellow and a council member of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, a full member of the Architects Registration Council of Nigeria, ACON, and a vice chairperson, Lagos, the past vice chairperson, Lagos State Chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. So, Pastor Mrs. Adeleye is a member of the board of altar ministers at the RCCG Dominion Sanctuary, Oba, Lagos. As one of the ministers in charge of the youth church, she fulfills her passion for impacting the life and leadership skills into the lives of the youth and teenagers by being actively involved in mentoring the younger generation and guiding them towards fulfilling their godly purpose in life, and ultimately seeing them mature to mentor others. Akhetiti is a certified Christian counselor and a trained transformational life coach. She is the author of the best-selling book on etiquette and social conduct, Become a Better You. Pastor Adeleye is a firm believer in excellence expressed through kingdom principles. To this end, she is the founder of the Eden Initiative, an organization that seeks to positively impact humanity through the impartation of godly values and the provision of care, comfort, and support to vulnerable members of the society. Architect Mrs. Adeleye sits on the board of many reputable organizations. She speaks nationally and internationally at conferences, workshops, and training programs for professional and social religious groups. She has received numerous awards in recognition of her contributions to the society, She is married and blessed with children and enjoys dance and music in her spare time. And today, we will be having an in depth conversation about the journey from education to practice and how architects can continually adapt and evolve in the profession. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome architect Titilayo Adele.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good
Can you
evening,
hear me?
ma'am.
Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
All
Perfectly.
right. It's such a delight and a pleasure to be here at this virtual book launch of the
Yes.
book From Studio to Practice. And I must say that I'm privileged that I have a copy here of this excellent book. This book that is a resource that will be an asset to any library. Now, let me start by congratulating our author, Rose Chigozie.
Thank
When
you,
Rose
ma'am.
approached me to um, kind of assist and take her through writing this book, I thought this was such an ambitious project for a young architect. And I wanted, in my own way, to test. I mean, she doesn't know this, to see how tenacious she would be and how dedicated she is to that cause. But Rose will hunt me down. She will call me. She wouldn't give up. And I said, yes, this is a good sign of tenacity, of diligence, and resilience in an architect. And I decided that it was a project. This was a young lady that I wanted to encourage and be involved with. And having said that, we started. I saw the good work she was doing with the Architect's Corner, which also is a very ambitious, project for a young architect. And I celebrate you, Rose, for that project. Because this is carving a niche for yourself in architecture. Um, a lot of us in architecture, we neglect the fact that there's so many things we can do. We can be writers, we can be authors, we can be, and Rose is promoting architecture in so many ways aside from the traditional ways, while holding her own as a young architect. Then I was privileged to be a guest on the Architect's Corner, and I must say that at that interview, you had to be ready because of the kind of questions. You couldn't just go there without being prepared. The kind of questions, the depth of knowledge, the insights, into matters concerning architecture was quite impressive and admirable. And then, I got, a draft of this book. And honestly, I actually wanted to review it at my own pace, when I have spare time, just review. But I honestly would tell our listeners that I reviewed this book in one sitting, because our young author Rose did an awesome job in putting together this book. She's taking us through the chapters, and you can see that the chapters are the sequence of the chapters, are really detailed and very logical. She starts by telling us the things she wish she had known before gaining admission to architecture school. And I'm like, oh, if only this book was available even before I gained admission to architecture school. She was brave enough to delve into how to generate ideas, for your design. And honestly, that is an area in which a lot of young architects, struggle. He talked about doodling, like the famous Zia Hadid, making sketches. How, as an architect, you must always have your pen and paper, with you, because ideas can come at any time. She went headlong, And then she spoke on page 32. She spoke about how, she wished she had known that as an architect you must read voraciously as well, and she talked about the catchphrase, architects do not read, saying that, but I disagree, because studying and researching are real behaviors, and reading makes you aware of situations. So as architects, she was alluding to the fact that as an architect, your education goes beyond just going to the studio, sketching and drawing. As an architect, you must read, you must educate yourself. You must know that there's formal education and informal education. You must take trips, and you must keep your mind engaged. She also went into sleep. That's number 6. You must sleep and rest and eat healthy. Well, I don't know how much sleep architecture students get, but you must keep that at the back of your mind. On page 33, she said you must get mentored. I mean, she was brave enough to say that there were a lot of mistakes she made as an undergraduate. And she thought, if I had somebody who directed me on a route to use, or who guided me on a better option to choose, just maybe I would not have made some of those mistakes I made. Once again, I want to commend you, Rose, because it takes a very large heart to know that, look, I don't want anybody else to make the mistakes I made. A lot of people actually want you to make the mistakes that they made so that you can know, oh, architecture is tough. So we commend our young author here. She shares a very interesting experience of how she lost a lot of money due to lack of mentorship, and how she made her first big deal after being mentored. I mean, I could just go on and on about this, but let me just elucidate some interesting parts. A part I found, like I said, I did the review in one sitting because I was also educated about international organizations that you can join even as a student architect. She kept saying, I wish I had known I could join international organizations early enough while I was in school. She spoke about how to build your portfolio. A lot of students don't know that your portfolio as a student actually contributes a lot to your total portfolio. I mean, you must start building your portfolio while you're in school. And then she went on, I'm now maybe about page 42 of the book, the business aspect of architecture, the business of architecture. And that is a very profound part of being an architect. Why? Because you'd find out that, it's not the best architects while you're in school that are the most successful, after you leave school. And this is because a lot of us don't treat architecture as a business. A lot of us neglect to learn the nitty gritty of being an entrepreneur. As architects, we are taught to meet deadlines. So sometimes we are so caught in meeting those deadlines that we don't know how to talk about our money. And that is very important. Rose, the chapter 3 talked about generating ideas for your design, how you say, okay, what is your concept? What is your inspiration? Like a lot of, great architects do. And then she went on to talk about research, analysis, synthesis, problem discovery, and how the background, how you work, concerning your design, make sure that your design works. The book goes on around page 56, talk about design presentation requirements, because a lot of people don't know about this. And then chapter 4 was one of the chapters I found very interesting. I'm an etiquette coach, and I like personal development. Who are you as a person? And that delves into personal development, your time management, your soft skills, your hard skills as an architect. Like we said, they're not the best architects that are the most successful ones. Your presentation skills, you might have done a lot of work, but then how you present them matters. And then how an architect needs to be a a whole package. How you can organize your work and the content, the cover page, your CV, your resume, your table of content. I don't want to give, you know, out too much about this book. But but then it now goes on onto your journey, and to becoming a registered architect. We all know that architecture doesn't end. When you graduate, you now embark on the journey on becoming a registered architect. Rose makes the brave, sojourn into this part of architecture by detailing the hitherto um, complex path into becoming a registered architect. And I must again commend this young lady, because that what has been an hitherto very complex path to navigate, was broken down into simple, easy to uh, follow steps. Something that has been a bit mystical, a bit on. Some people just say no. They say it's difficult. I'm not going to do it. Rose took her time to explain. How you become a corporate member, a full member. The fellowship class, the non. I mean, this is. I've spent a long time in architecture, but I honestly must admit and confess that I gained a lot of knowledge, because I never really sat down and said, okay, the definition how you can become a student member. You can actually become a member from school, graduate member, architectural technology, student member, and then the ACON Council. How many of us know the difference between NIA and ACON? This, you need to get a copy of this book, and then the various requirements that lead on to licensure. This book is honestly a total package. Making architecture a business, your brand. Who are you as a person? What is your brand? How can you, as an architect, create value or be a solution provider? And a chapter I also found very interesting was exploring architecture, technology, artificial intelligence, photography, and then other careers, like I said, in architecture, interior design, landscape architecture, web development, 3D visualization. And I honestly would advise, as soon as you get this book, just go to page 118, where you would see websites that can teach you, educate you about architecture. I won't go through them, but what you can do with these websites, competition and all that. Then of course there are recommended books. Books you must have, in your library as an architecture student and as a budding architect. Rose concludes by saying that, based on my present wealth of knowledge, if I were to ask myself, would you still choose architecture as your course of study? The answer would still be yes. And I would want at this juncture to celebrate our young author. I would want to commend you for a job thoroughly and well done. I would want
Thank
to
you,
ask
ma'am.
everyone listening to please encourage our young author and ensure that you get a copy of this book. It's going to be an asset to any library. If there's any academician that is here this evening with us, I would want to encourage you that you should please get a copy for your department. This book has delved into all aspects of architecture. And then, a lot of times people do research and they don't want to make their research, the process of research known. But Rose went on to share the data she collected, during her research into writing this book. And I just wonder how a young lady, a young architect, got all the time, to do all this research. But it just shows tenacity. It shows the fact that she's a detailed person, and this book is well researched. There are some very naughty questions at the end of the book, around page 146, about HND holders, about NI and ACON, about NYSC um, members, and how they can go into architecture. I'd like to read some of her last words to students, to technicians, and to technologists. She says to associate, architecture constitutes more than just designs. So be open to exploring new knowledge and frontiers. And she says, if you're a graduate, do you wish you knew some of these things in this book as a student architect? That you can send your feedback by email because a free gift awaits you. Overall, and then of course there's a questionnaire at the back of the book as well. Overall, I would like to wholeheartedly commend the efforts that Rose Chigozie has put into authoring this book. I would like to put my over 35 years experience in architecture, the weight of my over 35 years of experience that you're behind this book. I would like to say this book fills a much needed gap in the becoming, you're evolving into a full architect. Like the title says, from studio to practice. I would like to commend this book to even architects that are already in practice. You will learn a few things, like I did, like those websites that you can go to find information about architecture. No young architects planning to go from studio to practice should navigate that journey without getting a copy of this book. Believe me, it's worth every dime you will spend on the book. And I see this book becoming a much sought after resource. I see this book becoming a material, for which our young author here will be called in to facilitate and speak at a lot of conferences. But having said that, let me just also sound a note of caution that so a lot of things that were addressed in this book evolve. Things change over time, over the years. So, Rose, you must be ready to beginning to compile a second edition of this book. Yes, that's the way authoring is, and it's with great pleasure, great pride, and honor to welcome you into the league of architects that have put pen to paper and have become authors. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in celebrating our young author, the latest author in town, Rose Chigozie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. I'm elated.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Ma.
You're welcome.
So at this point, I would leave the floor open to drop their questions. Any question you want to ask at all, whether it's on the book or about architectural career or advice. I think there's a holdback on your end.
There's a what?
A holdback.
Oh, okay. Um,
Mm.
is it better now?
Yes, it is. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So at this moment, we'll leave the chat open for for different people to ask their questions, whether it's on the book, their career journey, or advice they will seek. I'm very sure that Athletics can share from her insights and all of that. So I'll be on the comment section to check out for questions. Acted Okamogu, we can see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, David Wenceslas, Chiamaka and Joko, my sister. Thank you. Room One Designs, I really thank you for congratulating us. John Johnson, thank you. So feel free to ask your questions. I'll be in the comment section.
Yeah, we can also have comments, not just questions.
Yeah,
While we're
yes.
waiting, permit me to recognize all our senior architects that are here. Permit me to also recognize junior colleagues, the in the architecture family. I greet everybody, and I say thank you for being here.
Okay, John Johnson is asking the cost of the book. So the book costs 5,500 naira at the moment. So the deadline is supposed to be today, but in our conversation, I was having a conversation with Architect Titi the last time. So she pleaded that we extend the timeline till the end of this month. So you can get it for 5,500 until the end of October. Afterwards, it will be 7,500. I hope you heard that, John Johnson. Okay, how do you get it? Go to the description of this video and you will see the link to get a copy. Go to the description of this video. If you're in Nigeria, go to the description of this video and you see the link. Then Eric Bukasa is asking how to get the book in South Africa. Okay, Eric, you can get the book on Amazon from the 15th of October 2024. However, you can send me an email, check the description of this book, check the description of this link of this video, and send me an email. So I think you, for those outside of Nigeria, you can get it on Amazon on the 15th of October 2024. But feel free to send me an email so that I can let you know when you can do that. So, any more questions or
So let me just ask,
contributions?
Rose, let me just say that I would want to encourage everyone to get this book, because sometimes, some I once written that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. It's the knowledge that you gain from reading something, like you said in the example you gave, that you lost some money because you didn't know some things. But the knowledge you can gain, the value you can add, to your projects, you can just say something that will make your clients so impressed with you. So we shouldn't spare any expense in getting the knowledge that we need. And I would also encourage everybody to please, whatever you want to spend in getting this book is honestly worth it.
Thank you, Ma, for that endorsement. Use that word. So at this point, I am so proud and excited to officially announce that From Studio to Practice is available. You can get it with the link on the description of this video. So if you're ready to take control of your career and learn the tools to succeed as a professional architect, you can get a copy of your this book from the description of this live stream. So we also have special offers for those who order early. Like Architect mentioned, I'm sure you heard her when she mentioned it. So, and I've poured out my heart also, as she mentioned, into this book with the hope that it will help many young architects navigate their career journey. And I can't wait to hear how it resonates with you. So be sure to share your thoughts using the hashtag from studio to practice. On social media, you're free to tag me, rosechigozienjoku, on all platforms. And also, I would love to see your feedback and the journey with the book. So also, you have to stay tuned on all our social media platforms. I want to really recognize the fact that my cousin, um, Gabriel Kenine, my paternal cousin, he sponsored 15 copies of the book. I also want to throw a shout out to Anosike Chiagoziem, who sponsored a copy. I also want to throw a shout out to Mr. Raymond Omani. I don't know the number of copies he sponsored because I got it while on the live stream, so I didn't check it out. So you can stay tuned on all our social media platforms, and we will let you know how you can benefit from these sponsorships. Thank you so much, Architect Okamogo. Architect Oka says, I look forward to you, Rose, graduating to evaluate and publish finished architecture projects, especially in Nigeria. Thank you, sir. We'll look into that. Oh, Mr. Raymond just mentioned he sponsored 15 copies. Thank you, Mr. Raymond. So I think on this note, we would wrap up if there is. Oh, ma, there's a question from Mr. Eric before we wrap up.
All right.
He said, I am a professional architect. I would want to. Oh, okay. Okay. I think it's not a question for you. He said, I'm a professional architect. I would want to collaborate with you. How can we start? You can send me an email so that we can proceed from there.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. I would also want to mention that recently I've been made the matron of the IFE Architecture Students Association, my alma mater. So I'll be sponsoring um, an undisclosed number of books for the department.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you. I'm literally clapping. Thank you, man. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank you, man. Thank you for your massive support. Actually, I didn't mention, and Agatha didn't mention during her session. She was the one that wrote the back cover review of this book. So get a copy and read what she has written. So she also reviewed the contents of the book to ensure that it met the accurate requirements. So, Ma, this is to say thank you for your massive support. You've been with us through this journey, and I'm sincerely grateful.
You're welcome. You're welcome there. And I'm sure you know that this book is going to go wide and far beyond the shores of Nigeria, beyond the shores of even Africa. What as an author myself, one thing I want you to get ready for is the so there's the next edition and there's the next publication. So if you run out of the first set that you publish, you have to get ready to do the next set of publications, and then you have to. A lot of comments are going to come in to expand the knowledge in this book. So you have to keep noting them down. And like I said, we look forward to the second edition very soon. And there are books that have the first, second, third, fifth editions because knowledge keeps evolving. But once again, we celebrate you, we commend you, and I think you are an example to the younger generation. And honestly, The sky is not even your limit. Congratulations. I'm glad to be a part of this. And
Thank you
black
so much.
and white are the colors of Nigerian architect. I don't know if that was a coincidence.
Ah, I didn't know. Okay, I know it's black and white. It wasn't in my mind when I chose those colors.
So
Thank you, ma. So as we wrap up, I also want to take a moment to thank all of you for joining me today, joining us today. This was a beautiful one. It's been an exciting journey, and I'm so happy to have shared it with such a vibrant community of architects, students, and creatives. A special thank you once again to Architect Titilayo Adeliye for your valuable insights, for being a part of this special day. Also, I want to say a very big thank you to Favory Studio for providing the perfect illustrations for this book. To the team at Warital, I appreciate your celebrity publishing and the masterpieces you bring to your project. I sincerely thank Bedrock community for re-engineering my mind during the course of writing this book, as they refer to it. Because at the time of writing this book, I was energized to finish it as more inspirations came after each business breakfast meeting. So I also want to use this medium to say thank you to Mr. Mike Chukwunyere for inviting me to Bedrock, a life transforming community of like minded individuals. I will forever remain grateful to my parents. I'm sure they must have been here, Mr. and Mrs. Michael Njaku, as well as my siblings for their unconditional love and support. To my friends, DK Mberi Eberechukwu, he was also part of those that read this book over and over again with me. Abanokam Johnson, I say thank you. Akamanam Chisom, architect, he shared contacts with me, and I'm sincerely grateful to him. Then also Agoha Obina too. He made suggestions, and he's my partner on Architect's Corner. So Obina, thank you for all that you do for us. So looking ahead, we have a lot more planned for Architects Corner. So make sure to stay connected for upcoming discussions, guest interviews, and exciting content around architecture and design. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, just do that right now and follow us on all social media updates. So thank you once again for your support, and here's to making the most of our architecture profession. From studio to practice. So see you soon. Thank you, ma.
thank you, Rose. Congratulations once again. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And good evening, everybody.
Thank you. So have a good night. And make sure you get a copy of the book.
So how do we? Is there? How do we get the copy? Is there an account number?
Yes, there is a link on the description of this live session.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night. God bless.
Thank you, ma. Thank you. So see you soon. Thank you so much for being here with us. And also thank you, Architect Okamogo, for being here to the very end. I really say thank you to you for also being one of the architects that shared from your wealth of experience to us. Thank you, sir. Also, Jennifer Wamba, thank you for joining, and thank you for congratulating me. So you can also get a copy of the book is on the description of this live session. So, until we see again. Bye.